Hi everyone, it's Heidi from Flutterbyheidi.co.uk, back again with a Ferrero Friday and a Merry Little Labels project as well. So this week sees me doing 3 projects using the Merry Little Labels for you, and being Friday I thought I'd got to have a Ferrero Friday project, and this time it's a sort of little book effect 6 Ferrero box, which is just held together with a knot, and you can see it opens up to hold 6 Ferrero. Just a simple little box, but one that's great fun, and obviously would suit, again, as with a lot of my larger projects, all sorts of other gifts as well if you wanted. So to start off with then, we're going to make the outer case for it. That's ready for doing the labelling in a short while. So you need a piece of cardstock. I've just done it in inches, but I will work it out in centimetres, which is 8 by 4 3/4. So you're going to score this at 3 1/4 inches and 4 3/4 inches, and that's the outer. Then you need 2 pieces of card in Whisper White, which is for the inner part, and these are 2 by 7 1/2 inches, and you're going to score them, start off with, on the long edge at 1/2 inch. Then you're going to score at 2 3/4 and at 7 inches. So do that to the second one as well. So at 1/2 inch, which we measure on the right hand side here, 2 3/4 and at 7 inches. Okay, pop that to one side, and so to construct our boxes you're going to need your bone folder just to reinforce those score lines, start off with. And then what we're going to do is trim those away instead of cutting a right angle in. That's because we're going to be creating a sort of box shape. So this one doesn't need to be quite so steep, that's where it's going to join, but this one does. And I say this is where you still cut a kind of right angle, the 2, and then cut the corner off for that one as well. Okay, now we need to come in with our fast fuse. So we need a good bond on these because we're going to be it's going to be making a box shape. So fold that over, put the fuse on, and just line that up carefully before you stick it. Okay. And the same at the other end, so just fold that back. So that's going to make our base. Now what I'm going to actually use on the base here is some red tape. This is because I just find it easier to work with, because you don't have to peel it all off in one go. And there are just times when certain tapes just work better for you. The fuse gives you that great bond, but just sometimes having the tape where you don't have to peel, it doesn't have to be sticky. All of it doesn't have to be sticky at the one time. Works well. And the last bit. Okay. So this is going to go onto our box, and this is going to create the box part of it. But before we attach that inner, what I want to do is actually put some tape across the middle of this, so that we can attach our jute ribbon to it. So it's around about the 2 1/2 inch mark. Just put a piece of tape just in slightly from the edge on the 2 large pieces. It's going to be covered over on the top, so you don't need to worry about it. And this really works well. So cut yourself a good length. I always cut just that little bit more for the extra few pence. I just think it's much better to have extra length when you're going to tie it at the very end, so that you can. Now, rather than sticking it flat there now, what I'm actually going to do is fold it into the kind of box shape, because otherwise you'll get it a little bit, although it's a bit gappy when it's flat, that does give you sufficient space that it's not going to be too tight by the time you've done it. So it's going to, there we go, better. Don't want it too gappy because we're going to cover that up as well. So that's our ribbon, which we're going to use to tie our knot with. Although looking at that, I've actually left it rather uneven, so I'm just going to lift up and reattach. And you can see that that's nice and even as well. While it's flat, I suggest we do our layers. And to put your layer on the top part of it, I've got a piece of real red cardstock, and I've cut that to 4 5/8 by 3 1/8. And I am using fuse here because it needs to bond quite well. Is that my fuse having? That's my fuse having run out. Okay. Right, well, in that case I'll just have to improvise and go back and re-adhere it later. So pop this card layer. And I've deliberately kept the layer quite narrow, just to 1/8 of an inch. I've then got a piece of designer series paper, and as I said before, this is actually some retired paper, but it's quite similar to the quilted Christmas that's in there in its colours. Lovely stuff, tartan. This is 4 1/2 by 3 inches, so maintaining that narrow layer there. Next, what we want to do is create our box part. So what we can do is take the tape off one bit, making sure that we've got our lidded part there, and what I do is I line it up in the middle like so on that narrow part, and then stick that down. And then once I've done that, I take off the side and the other pieces, and keeping those folded in as much as possible. I then square that up like so. And then to finish it off, I'm just going to pop a piece of the same DSP on the inside, and this is 2 3/4 by 4 1/8, and that just finishes the box off for you. So that's our box. Now we need to do our stamping for our image. And as you saw, I've already got my stitched framelit out to cut a panel of old olive. So I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine, big shot, and that will give you a layer like so. And then I'm using the next size down of the ovals. And the way you can always check these is if you layer them like so, you can see that that stitching will go nicely around the edges. And just as we did on another project, we're going to start with the middle section using the brush part of our marker. So this is a twin pack of markers that you can get at the moment. And I'm just using the side to put quite a bit of ink onto that so we don't get too many lines. So just round that. And then come in with the old olive as well, just carefully on those word parts. And obviously what you could do is you could stamp the delivery a second time and cut it out if you wanted to, if you didn't want to do the markers. So huff, stamp, then make sure we get the right one. Layer that on the top, and this is where having a magnetic plate is very useful. to hold that in place while you run it through. If you haven't got a magnetic plate, then obviously what you can also do is use a little bit of washi tape to hold it in place. There you go. Pop those back away. And then I'm just going to pop that up on a couple of dimensionals onto the layer. And I've deliberately used both layers of the stitched framelits here because I wanted to have a bit of extra detail. It's this sort of I've gone for the narrow border on the box but a wider detail on the label. But you could use the layering ovals to get a narrower border if you didn't want to have the stitched framelits label on top. So pop that on the top, and the one bit I haven't done, I just realised, is the bit on the back. So you're going to cut some cardstock. So you need a piece of cardstock that's going to go on here, and that's 4 5/8 by 1 3/8. My fuse running out. Added as a distraction for that. And then just grab yourself some of the DSP, and the DSP is going to be 4 1/2 by 1 1/4. Just here, 4 1/2 by 1 1/4, and again just adhere some glue. And again with that, because it's going over the ribbon, that's why you're going to want, oh, I've mismeasured that somehow. I have. I will correct those measurements. The card, the card should be 1 3/8 and the DSP 1 1/4. So that should then give you, and 4 5/8 and 4 1/2. So that should then give you your narrow borders. And then all you need to do now is fill it with your Ferrero or your other gifts. Close it up like a little book. Tie our ribbon. And then just trim like so. And there you have our lovely 6 Ferrero special delivery Ferrero Friday projects. Thank you for watching. Come back and see me again soon. If you'd like to buy any of the products that you've seen today, visit my Stampin' Up shop, www.heidismith.stampinup.net, or visit my blog and contact me. I'll be happy to take your order or help you further with your purchases. Bye for now. Come back again soon.